to be found. Thought you knew I'm on the move and nowhere to be found. Thought you knew I'm on the move and nowhere to be found. Thought you knew I'm on the move and nowhere to be found.
God damn it, I'm muted. Okay. Yeah. Maybe it's a good thing you didn't hear what I was saying just now. But anyway, welcome to the breakdown, episode 599. One away from 600. One away from 600 is an amazing feeling. An amazing feeling. Okay. Unofficially, I've done more, but officially it's 600. Podcast coming next month, so stay tuned to that. But as I was saying, every other week, me and Charles sit down, and I thought Charles just said, you know what? I quit. I'm not coming on to this goddamn show. Fuck the breakdown. I'm going to go have a breakdown elsewhere. But he's here. Okay, he's here. Hi, Landy. Landy doesn't talk to me no more. Shout out to Landy, though. Great TA guy, but doesn't talk to me no more. Lost my phone number. By the way, this show is sponsored by Gemini. Shout out to Gemini. Trade $1,000 in crypto, get $100 in Bitcoin. GNN is the network that powers this. I will be back on tomorrow, and I will explain the changes that have gone on and where the brand is going. Should be interesting. But anyway, let's bring on my friend. And by the way, there's some new effects going on here, so I don't know what the fuck's going to happen right now. But let's go.
Hey,
Charles, what's going on?
Hey. How you doing, Dave?
I'm doing well. How's everything? Listen, it's been a while.
Yeah. We've been busy. I was on the Asia tour: Mongolia, Vietnam, Korea, Singapore, and Japan. How about that?
I've talked to your personal EA more than I've talked to you last month. You are busy. Oh my God, you are busy, man. Congratulations, though.
We're getting it done, man. You know, I was on Bloomberg and CNBC. I was even on our good friend Rand Newer, Crypto Banter's show. I love how that turned out. So I was going through the media stuff for the day, and she's like, "Oh, I got you this thing, Crypto Banter. I don't know if you've ever met him," but I was like, "Yeah, I know who Rand is." And it was a very awkward interview, but I said, "You know what? We're gonna bury the hatchet. God damn it!"
I watched it. I was like, "Oh my God!"
Right.
Did you get I saw maturity.
Yeah.
Okay. I saw peace.
Right.
Working both sides of the aisle.
There was a little bit of Italian still in me because he was all like, "Well, I don't know. Cardano never really took off." It's like, well, Luna didn't either. So we all make mistakes, right?
That was a good one.
Oh,
I want to cry on the Luna thing because I also was in Luna and that didn't work out too well. Good to see you. Obviously, the market looks like ass. It really is. I don't know.
Kentucky Fried Hickory Smoked Ass.
Yeah. There you go. And that's probably going to become a ticker today. But
right.
Because everything in this space becomes a ticker. You can't even say anything without it becoming a ticker. But
right.
Charles, what the fuck is happening? What is going on from your point of view? What is happening?
I mean, sometimes crypto goes full retard, and that's what it did. It went full retard. So here's what happened. Everybody was thinking that Clarity Act was going to pass, including myself, October. So we'd done all the work, we put everything into it. Everything politically was where it needed to be. The Democrats would hem and haw, some concessions would be made, go up for a vote, president sign it. Suddenly we have the Gary Gensler's dead forever dance. and all the big money starts entering crypto because there's clarity, there's a market structure now, all this stuff. All right. Well, they said, "Oh shit, the Giga Chad bull run's going to happen." So everybody went long because they were thinking that that shit was going to happen. So then, the government shutdown combined with the tariffs trouble, it kind of disrupted the market a little bit, and the leverage long guys, they got wiped out. Well, they got to force sell. So then the next level of leverage long guys got wiped out, and they got to force sell. And then the next level. So anybody who had liquidity, they did okay. Like Bitcoin was fine because they have super deep markets. They only went down like 6% or something like that, and they've mostly recovered. Anybody who didn't have liquidity up to a certain extent, they got damaged. So a lot of the smaller cap coins, especially go deeper in the top 10 and beyond, they got a buffer at any given moment, like 100 million, $200 million. It can absorb that kind of hit. But what do you do when it's a $500 million liquidation or $1 billion liquidation? You just free fall until you hit a bottom. And then somebody smart comes in, buys because they're getting a dollar asset at 25 cents and they know it's going to recover. So it's free money. So that's what happened. It's a cascade. Now, whenever shit like that goes down, you got scavengers, okay, who are smart, well connected, and they can do things we can't do. So then the scavengers come in, and CoffeeZilla did a real nice expose on this and showcasing some of them. And they just basically take advantage of the chaos and they short sell in certain places and they scoop up in certain places. And suddenly APIs don't work that should work and stuff like that. And that's just where we're at, man. That's what happens. Remember September 11th? Somebody shorted the markets right before 9/11.
Yeah.
Don't know who, but it was a lot of money, so shit happens, man, and people somehow know about this stuff, and that's what happens when you're 24/7 global markets. There's gonna be scavengers. But scavengers don't cause the market event. The market event is caused by a macro, and you don't get a mass force liquidation unless there is a fundamental misconception about the direction of the market. The perception in smart money was Giga Chat October. We didn't know exactly when, but sometime there. So people came in, they leveraged up, they went long. And it turned out that the groundhog saw its shadow and we're going to have some winter. So we're not quite in the Giga Chad bull run. I still think it's going to happen. It's just we got beaten to hell. Now, what happens after you get your ass kicked? And do you go back to the bar the very next day and say, "Please, sir, may I have another?" No, you let those bruises heal a little bit, and you start going to church again. You're a good little boy, and about 2 months down the road, you turn into a fucking degenerate because that's who you are. Okay, so and that's just crypto. Crypto's got degens, so the degen people come out of the house in 6 weeks to 8 weeks, and we'll be back to where we need to be, and the market will mostly recover. For a liquidity hit like this, 6 to 12 weeks is what you're looking at for the markets to reinflate and fully recover from what we got hit with. Now, here's the good news. This event was 4 times larger than the Luna FTX stuff.
Yeah.
We're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, we survived, right?
Yeah.
And so we're still here, and it's not like it killed the bull market. So everybody just needs to chill out a little bit and just relax a little bit. Realize that little Johnny's going to go to church for a bit, and he's not going to call his 3 girlfriends back and go binge drinking every night because he got his ass kicked. But Johnny will be back at the bar, and he will be doing the "you're up" tweet at call at or text at 1:00 in the morning. It's gonna happen. He's a degenerate.
Charles, I battle. It sucks that I have to say battle because it really is a battle in crypto. You know what I'm talking about. It's a fucking battle every
Oh,
single
God,
time you get on top microphone. It's a fucking battle. It's not a debate. It's battling. It's like you're jousting.
Yeah.
And it's just like, or ultimate fighting. Just
Yeah.
ultimate fighting on with a mic. But I keep saying retail's not here. Like,
Not yet.
if you want to say retail us, like, I mean, air quote, like people from last cycle or maybe 2 cycles before that are still here, and you want to consider that retail, fine. But I don't believe retail has actually come back into these markets. I believe they don't even have money right now to go ahead and participate.
Yeah.
They're waiting for those stimulus checks or the tariff check probably to come in order to participate in the markets. What are your thoughts on that? Because this is what I keep telling people, or at least this is my own opinion. I haven't seen retail come into crypto yet. Like I haven't seen, when crypto comes in, they're so passionate about just one asset. Like if somebody goes into Cardano, let's use Cardano, right? If Cardano is their first coin, they're gonna be all over the timeline screaming Cardano.
Right.
We don't have that right now. Retail isn't here. That's just my point of view. What's yours? You think retail's here?
No, so crypto's not cool. That's the problem. Crypto was really cool in 2021. Like everybody was like, "How do we do crypto? How do we do NFT?" Anything crypto was good. Yeah, that's why we had these insane valuations for everything. Fucking bananas. Pictures of a picture of a picture of banana were selling for $1.5 million. I sold a tweet. I sold a tweet where I told a person to go fuck themselves for $22,000. Okay, it was stupid. It was stupid. 2021 was so great. It was the ultimate cocaine and hookers era. But we lost that, and everybody got beaten up and burned down. And the problem is crypto wasn't cool. So then what became cool is to be like anti-cool. So crypto in 2021, they're like, we're the future. Yay, everything's gonna be great. And then crypto in like 2022, 2023, 2024 was crypto is so obviously wrong that what we're going to do is make meme coins like super valuable. And we're just going to make all of our money from things that by their very design can never have utility and use cases and these types of things. So it just went up because it was almost like a Gen Z, like be against something for the sake of being against something. But retail didn't come back. We never got the 2021 retail people in. So 2025 came in and Trump was elected, and everybody's like, oh, retail's going to come back. This is interesting. The challenge is that Trump coin killed meme coins. So that whole movement kind of died off. It got too big for its own good because it was no longer cool if the president's doing it, right? It's like it just made that a lot harder and it was overdone. And then the other side of it was that there was no compelling mega narrative for retail to come in. So we got used to institutional money coming in, but institutional people, they're a little bit more organized. So what they did is they just started with the blue chips, of blue chips, of blue chips. So all that institutional money just went to Bitcoin, which is why Bitcoin went from 25,000 to over $100,000. And then they kind of sort of got used to Ethereum. They're like, that's probably here to play. So Ethereum started doing good. And Solana was able to absorb a lot of the meme coin mania. So they kept their value. XRP, after the lawsuit was over, also was able to navigate some institutional money. Okay. So that's why they did pretty good. Then all of the other progress for the rest of the stuff, BNB was very clever. They used their network effect and they absorbed a big chunk of it. So these guys absorbed collectively about $1 trillion, of value. And that would have normally been percolated throughout the entire space in low liquidity coins. It would amplify and you get a 10x on that valuation. So we'd have a much larger coin market cap if those things didn't happen. So to your point, like where's the next wave of retail that's going to come in to do that stuff? You got to make crypto cool again. And it's not going to be Donald Trump who makes it cool. It's got to be something else that makes it cool. All we can do is in the lieu of that, which is unpredictable and hard because you don't know until you know, is the institutional side. And so with Clarity, that would brought in a rising halo of many different platforms, and Bitcoin DeFi will have some of those gains in Bitcoin enter the rest of the altcoin space because Bitcoin can't provide the yield. The
Yeah.
value's there now, liquidity's there now, but those coins have to go shopping. And when they do, they'll create demand for the other coins and that'll create a rising tide effect. So it's a very different super cycle than the last 4 years, where every 4 years we have this big boom after the halving and everything looks great. For 12 years, it's been that way. It's frustrating because we can't really plan well in industry. And a lot of people have tried to do sexy launches, like Aleo tried to do one and others tried to do it. They just really didn't hit their KPIs the way that they wanted. And it's no dig on the teams. They have great products. They're working really hard on these things, but it's really hard to differentiate and it's really hard to break through and create that retail momentum and also be something different and fundamentally new, which is why we focused a lot of our stuff either on the connection points between the legacy world and Web3. That's what Midnight's trying to do, or focused on completely new things that have never been seen before, like Quantum Hosky, for example, because that
Yeah.
will bring new people into the space and it'll make it cool again and exciting again. But for both of those, crypto has to fall into the backdrop. It just has to work and it has to be a click. So to answer your question, I don't know how to bring the 2021 hype cycle retail back, but maybe the market's done with that and we have to move to a different type of character as a market.
Well, there has to be some sort of catalyst, right? So, like in 2021, I think the catalyst was Wall Street Bets, right? You had Roaring Kitty go against the big bad elites, and have a bunch of retail people, some throwing in 1,000, some throwing $500, just going into AMC, GameStop and all, and just destroying all these mega hedge funds where they're actually going on to CNBC and Fox Business and crying, "How dare they do
Right.
this? We're losing so much money." I remember that. I'll never forget that. There was a I forgot his name, big time player, said how they don't know what they're doing to our businesses. Meanwhile, these are the same businesses that send businesses into bankruptcy. Like
They're
so.
like they're like, "We have a good thing going. Stay out of my
Exactly.
mafia," it's like
How
you're
dare
fucking
you
with Al
wake up?
Capone.
How dare and the whole system's set up, right? The whole
Yeah,
system, the retail's winning. There's like 9 holds that are put into place every single day.
right.
Triggers are going off. That never happens for the hedge funds, though. So I think that starts happening in 2021. People from that whole movement start saying, you know what? It worked in the stock market and traditional markets. Let's go ahead into crypto. So they start jumping into Dogecoin, and then they even made a meme out of Ethereum Classic. Like they started to jump into all these things, and they started pushing them. And then,
Right.
which led into, to me, it led into the whole crypto ecosystem where everybody started to jump into Cardano or Ethereum, Bitcoin, because they finally understood, oh shit, we can buy these like Bitcoin. You can buy it at a fraction. I didn't know that. I didn't have to buy a $50,000 Bitcoin. I could just buy $500 worth. So like that, I think that had a big time play in our ecosystem. Where's that catalyst is what I'm looking for right now. Like, where is that catalyst now? And especially you look at it, we went to a $4.17 trillion market cap, total market cap recently.
Right. And I
So like
apologize.
we're doing good. I mean, it's not
I
bad.
I don't know if you can still see me, Dave. I apologize. My screen is completely frozen. You're
No,
frozen.
that's
I'm
fine.
frozen. Okay. I can still hear
As a
you though.
professional, I keep going. Okay, as a
I kn
professional, you
I
keep going. You hear the voice and you keep going. But you
Right, it'll
know,
be like The Simpsons with old Mr. Burns. The young Mr. Burns is from the 1960s. He's still got hair. Um, it's so I understand exactly what you're saying. It's gonna have to be an experience, a new experience, a new thing, a new MacGuffin that brings people in. In lieu of that, real world assets could, because you have a lot more yield, and if people can go easily from dollars into RWAs and these crypto rails, that'll create a ton of demand. So Genius alone is probably enough to get it done longer term, 3 to 5 years, but we need a way of trading securities on the blockchain. This is why clarity was so damn important, because it would open the window through rulemaking to actually have an updated modernization of securities law that would permit.
don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. We are having technical difficulties, but he's rejoining us. Charles is coming back. He's not going to leave. I will drag his
Ah,
ass back onto the show.
you got me, you got me. Where did I cut off?
You said genius.
Yeah. So Genius Act, that alone is enough to get it done long term, because it allows you to go easily from dollars into crypto. And that's how you get retail in. It's like, can I use my credit card, my debit card? Can I just click a button and buy some crypto things straight from a conventional financing thing? Like every month, can I put part of my paycheck in or
Yeah.
something like that? And you're starting to see a lot of institutional play with like retail money. Like Morgan Stanley announced that wealth advisors can advise up to 4% of your portfolio can be put into crypto. That's 17,000 private wealth advisors. That's a big fucking deal. It's trillions of dollars. So that will create a retail surge. ETFs are another one that'll create a little bit of surge. Institutional aggregation of the underlying asset, but it is retail money driving that aggregation of it. But it's no one thing which is going to solve the whole thing. It's going to be experience that's really amazing. There have been some isolated pockets of things that have grown a lot, like Hyperliquid is a phenomenal example of that, actually. It just came out of fucking nowhere from the outside. Inside, a lot of people knew about it, but it was outside, it just boom, it's there, like $15 billion. But it's not market scale. It's more of like a black swan type of thing or an unpredictable type of thing. So
You
it is.
mentioned that. What do you think about? I don't want to say CZs, but like, what do you think about Aster?
Well,
Because
that's a
it
different
can.
one because that has a patron, right? And it's like
Yeah.
Trump going to Trump, or it's like Elon Musk launching something. When you have a very powerful patron who has a galaxy of power around him, anytime CZ likes something, he has 400 million users to play with. It's like,
It's
I
it's
like
it's
this thing.
wild.
400 million users. Go play around with this thing. Oh, thank you, Uncle CZ. So he can astroturf if he wants to anything. The real mark is after the initial wave, does it stay relevant? Does it have traction and momentum? Like Musk is running into this with Grok. So Grok is not really penetrating the overall usage of stuff. So the Musk novelty is kind of worn off, and he's put his networks into it like X and these other things, and
Yeah.
he's certainly gotten some users. Not to say he hasn't, but you look at the leaderboards in terms of percentage of users, it hasn't meaningfully moved a lot. So patrons work really well in the beginning. They get a lot of money aggregated, they get people excited, but you need a patron plus a plan, and that plan has to be highly sustainable. I'm not saying his ventures don't have that. He's actually historically one of the best executors in the history of our industry. So he's not a guy you bet against in the long term. It's just like Elon Musk is not a guy you bet against. That said, it's really hard right now in these markets to gain any meaningful traction and things. We're killing it with Cardano. We've done so much this year. We went from a federated governance model to a fully decentralized one, constitution on chain. We spent more money in investments this year than in the history of the project. In fact, Cardano spent 227 million ADA, I think, on the treasury, which if you sum that up, it's more than all the money spent on every cryptocurrency project in the first 4 years of the entire history of the cryptocurrency industry. From like 2009 to I think like 2013, Cardano spent more money than the budget of every crypto company. So it's not like we didn't come to play. Like real money came out, real efforts come out, massive upgrades have come. We're multi-client, we're multi-language, great DevX. Got Midnight launching imminently. Very soon it's coming. You got the partner chains ecosystem, you got Bitcoin DeFi turning on, and yet the market's stagnant. And everybody, oh, you guys are just all incompetent.
I
What
hope
you're
I'm
doing,
still
and
here.
what's that? Can you see me, Dave? David, can you see me?
Why is it
Hello?
breaking up? Hold on one second. I don't know if Charles, are you
I am
here?
here. Can you see me? Can you guys hear me?
Okay. I don't know what's going on. Okay. It went off for a second, but continue on.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
So my point is that like we killed it this year. It's one of the most productive years we've ever had as an ecosystem. Price stayed stagnant.
Yeah.
And it's just like what more can we do? We took over token 2047. Literally, when you went to token 2047, you had to enter input output as the Wi-Fi password on the badge. I saw a guy from Solana be like, for fucking reals? Really? I gotta enter. Can I use a different password? We're like, nah, you got to use our password, yo. So it's just the markets don't respond to actual progress. The markets don't respond to actual events. They should be much higher and they should be much more forgiving and rewarding than they have been. So I don't understand it. It's a very bizarre cycle right now.
You know, what do you think about creator markets, Charles? And having creator markets, because everybody's coming out creator markets. I just seen Base or Coinbase, whatever, their chain come out with creator markets. What do you think about creator markets?
So what do you think about creator markets?
I can say a lot. Yeah, I already said, I'm getting pushback because I think when you come out with your brand, like if you maybe for somebody who's starting out, I think it's kind of cool to get rewarded,
Right.
right? I think the rewards are cool, but then you're attached to this market cap, right? Because that's what people think about. They don't give a shit. Some people will, but most people don't give a shit about what content you're putting out there. So now you're attached to this market cap and you got to work on it every day. You can't take a day off. You got to work. You got to show up and you got to work to make sure that you're satisfying people based on the market cap, not based on building out this audience that
Right.
appreciates the content that you're putting out there. So to me, I feel like, is it cool for like smaller brands? You get some revenue there. Yeah, but then that revenue slowly goes away. So now what?
So I have Charles token. It was issued through Stuff.io, and the Stuff guys come and say, "Well, let's go ahead and tokenize one of your interviews you're going to do with us." And I said, "That's fine." So we launched Charles token. Then it comes out there and everybody's like, "All right, Charles, you work for us now. You have to constantly relaunch content, do all this stuff." So I was like, "Fuck yeah, I gotta do some stuff with Charles Token." So we did some more interviews, and then I created a video game called Bison Valley that we launched, and
Yeah.
and the bison consume Charles Token, and I'm still trying to get
Yeah.
that damn JJ, if you're listening, come on, man. We're supposed to get that Amazon thing out because I have all the B-roll from the Amazon thing where I get bit by the ants, and Charles Token users are gonna get that exclusively because we only gave, like, the 15-minute summary, but we got, like, 3 hours of video. So it's like a lot of that shit with Charles Token, right? And the token price has gone it and so maybe for, like, a Taylor Swift or something, or a person like yourself who releases content on a regular basis, and it's just part of the business model, and you're just using it as an alternative to, like, a Patreon style thing where you have a premium versus a freemium, setup, that makes sense, but I haven't been able to get it work in my own life, as a creator token. Um, but it's not my primary vocation. I write software, I do glowing plants, I do, like, regenerative medicine, I raise bison, and so I pretend to be a creator, and, the extent of my creative capabilities go to StreamYard and click broadcast, and go like, "Hi, this is Charles Hoskinson from Warm Sunny, Colorado," and no editing, no preparation, no nothing. My media team doesn't even know when I'm going live. I just fucking do it, right? But the problem is it's like in relationships, if you give the milk away for free, why buy the cow? So if most of
Yeah.
my value comes from that, and I haven't set it up for a premium tier, it is a little hard. But I don't know. I tried really hard to figure out a good path forward. I'm gonna restructure the way I do my AMAs and content creation next year, and it would be cool to have kind of a premium experience, but it's not my area of expertise. I just like talking to people and doing things, and,
Yeah.
and you gotta be like Mr. Beast if you're gonna be a good creator. It's just like,
Yeah.
literally, that dude could get, like, shot and raped by a donkey, and while he's sitting in the hospital recovering, waiting for surgery, he'll be like, "How do I make a video out of this?" "Is it my Tijuana surprise?" This is his mindset. It's every single thing is about the next video, the next piece of content. How do you make that content good? It doesn't matter what it is. It's like, how do I make the next piece of content? You have to have that mindset if you're in the creator economy, and better ways to represent that value in that portfolio. The other thing about creator tokens is it's not clear to me what you're buying.
Yeah.
Are you buying the intellectual property behind it? No. Are you buying access to the creator? Well, sometimes yes, sometimes no. Are you getting access to exclusive things? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. That's the issue. Is there's no standard business model for that. And I wish we could come up with something because then I could optimize around that. Yeah, because I do
Yeah.
understand the value of, like, okay, let's say you like a musician like Taylor Swift. And if I own enough of her tokens, then I always get concert tickets and I always get to see her backstage. That's probably a $1 billion token if she launches that then. And the top 10 just get that exclusive access because there's creepy weirdo super fans. She's got 300 million fans. There's gonna be at least one of those weird Korean guys who's got way too much money, and he's just way too fetished about Taylor Swift, and he's gonna own, like, $700 million worth of the fucking token. So he always gets the concert tickets as he does his strange groupie stuff. And that's great for Taylor, right? She's gonna make a lot of money
Yeah.
off a little Taylor Swift token, but, I'm not Taylor Swift, despite people saying that. I don't have that body, I don't look like a washboard, so what did we do? I'm voluptuous. So so I don't have anything for you for Charles Token.
I think, the only thing that you can think of with a creator token is that it gives access to the person, right? If I want access
Yeah.
to you, Charles, and it would cost me 10,000 Charles tokens, it makes sense, right? Like yeah, we're a little bit spoiled because we have a lot of access, and I don't think people understand this either. I mention this all the time, but it gets brushed away. But only in crypto do you have access to people that you would never have access to. I'm talking about millionaires, billionaires, people with high, big time networks. You have a chance to go ahead and have a conversation with these people. You know, um, Without crypto, you wouldn't. Like, you just wouldn't. You wouldn't be able to access anybody. So imagine you have this whole plan. Hey, you could talk to me for 15 minutes. It'll cost you 10,000 Charles tokens. To me, that makes
Yeah.
sense. You know, that definitely makes
Yeah.
sense. But again, how do you put it together correctly? People in this, I'm telling you, this cycle, I got to tell you, Charles, this is the weirdest cycle that I've been a part of since I came into this industry. It's just, you have a bunch, I honestly believe this. We've taken 3 steps backwards. Okay. If you thought it was bad last cycle or the cycle before that, like, I think this is probably the worst cycle that we've experienced so far. Yet the numbers are great. Like, the numbers are great for the top 10, which obviously you guys are Cardano is included in that. The numbers are great there. But it's just like, this has been one of the cycles where, like, people have lost their patience. They're not holders anymore, in my eyes. They're chasing because they think the cycle's over with. So they expected to be making multi-millions. They haven't made
Right.
shit. Now let me get out of my conviction place. Let me get out of my Cardano or Ethereum or whatever it is. Let me go chase this thing that just came off of a launch pad. The 95,000 launch pads that we need 95,000 launch pads, ladies and gentlemen, because there's not enough,
The
right?
best one is
Let me go chase
Snack.fun.
one off.
Remember, Snack.fun is your launch pad for Cardano.
There you go. I didn't know that was coming, but that came. There you go. It's crazy how people have not, they still, I have conversations, I'm like, they're like, how can you be, they tell me, how can you be in Cardano? I'm like, how can you not?
Right.
That's literally my reply. Like, why aren't you in Cardano? Well, because I heard, so you heard from a guy named Crypto Elmo 453, guy with 132 followers, has some sort of vendetta because he feels like Charles should wear, I don't know, more drip on him. So that's why you're not going into Cardano. Congratulations, you're a fucking moron. Excuse me. No, don't excuse me. I meant every
Right.
word of it. But that's how weird it
Oh
is.
God, it's so bad, man. It's like Cardano's at least got a thing. You got Ethereum and you got Solana, and they got a thing.
Yeah.
And then you got all these other guys who are like, we're the Ethereum killer, we're the Solana killer, and rah, rah, rah. And they're using all this VC money and retail idiocy to try to pretend like they can somehow make difference there. Okay, well, the Cardano, we got Bitcoin DeFi, we got the partner chains model. It's distinctly different. And we have a growth mechanism that's distinctly different from Ethereum and Solana. And we've always had that, okay, because we had no VC backing. We were launched from Japan. We live in a different part of the world. So it's entirely possible for Ethereum to go up and Cardano to go up, but they're not correlated with each other. Whereas these other guys
Correct.
are all one big sub-zero ecosystem. So you buy Cardano as a hedge. You buy it just like to say, hey, I'm diversifying the portfolio. And I think there's probably going to be some play with Bitcoin DeFi. I think there's going to be something interesting with the unique L2 model that we have. And the partner chains thing is really interesting because once that gets going, there's like a midnight every year, and you're part of that, and each one of those has a big customer acquisition play. Now, is it 100x? Probably not, but it's something that is unique and different, and it's a different model of governance, different model of staking, different model of accounting, different model of programming, and who knows, maybe we got it right. But are you so certain that Ethereum got it all right forever? Or do you have any doubt? If you have doubt, you diversify. Just like technology. Look at AI. Everybody thought that Sam Altman was the god of all gods, and they just throw all this money at him. And then they see Google suddenly stop being retarded. And now Google's like actually doing stuff with Gemini, and Gemini 3 is just going to be a Leviathan. It's coming out here in about a week or two. And then Gemini 2.5 is already really good. And Gemini 3 will probably just crush GPT-5. So shit changes in technology a lot. And just because somebody is not doing so well, if they have built-in stuff that gives them a differentiator, then you probably should diversify a little bit. Now, you're absolutely right that, the 400-pound, actually, nerd guy who has a fucking podcast on YouTube and tells you, buy this coin. Some of them like us, some of them hate us. Some of them used to like us, and then they hate us because maybe their girlfriends hit on me, and they just think I'm bad now. No comment. But they do this stuff, right? And you're just like, okay, but how you and your 135 followers and your war against diabetes, what the hell does it have to do with any of the fundamental shit? We got a lot of stuff going on, man. It's like, Does that have anything to do with Laos and how to get high throughput with full decentralization, solve the blockchain trilemma or the governance trilemma with on-chain governance? Everything to do with winning the ZK revolution. That has everything to do with getting TradFi in. Does that have anything to do with the new creators economy or new video game experiences or the partner chains? But no, it doesn't have anything to do with that. Okay, just angry because you got a micro chubby and you grew in the wrong direction, and now you're taking it out on Cardano. I don't know why. It's just, but stop it. We didn't do anything to you, man. We can live on our island without you picking on us. So maybe we're a little sensitive about it. I don't know. Just I don't know. Dave.
Welcome to the breakdown, episode 599, sponsored by Gemini. Yo, God bless Gemini. America's Exchange. I'm trying to get through this. GNN is what powers this show. Stay tuned to more Friday. I'll go ahead and break down what's happening here, the changes and all that good stuff. But oh my God, I almost fucking died just now. No, but that is so true. That is so fucking true. It is so fucking weird, man.
15 years, man. I'm just fucking done. Just really
like you don't even need
right.
You retired like a decade ago. Like
yes. I used to have 108,000 Bitcoin. I mean, it's just like that's verifiable. When the audit report came out, everybody saw how much we raised with fucking Cardano, and it's like, yeah, why am I still here? I guess I'm like
you like the abuse?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's you either pay an Asian girl to step on you and pee on you, or or you can just do crypto. I mean, it's a lot more efficient than having to hide a bondage fetish or something like that.
It's like fear fucking factor.
Know, right?
You just fucking go into spaces and see if you can fucking survive for 10 minutes.
Right. Well, I've done that a lot. It's actually been a lot of fun, and then usually they're very nice. I have to say, there's only been a few spaces. They came up when there was the whole ADA voucher stuff that were just horrible. But the vast majority of spaces, even with other ecosystems like Solana or AVAX, after you get over that like 30-minute, oh no, the enemy's here, people just start chilling out. We talk about quantum computing and AI and SynBio and all kinds of cool stuff. We start doing like the Sean Ryan show. It's a lot of fun. And that's what keeps me going. I love getting past the crypto element, getting to the human element of everything and talking to people there. But, it's all long in the tooth. And I think we're due for a narrative change and we're due for culture change. Crypto as of today is not sustainable. It needs to change, and it will change because there's real value there. There's real people there. It's just, we need something new. I saw this with the creation of Ethereum. We tried for years with Bitcoin. It was Bitcoin and altcoins, and every altcoin was a fork of Bitcoin, and they just like Litecoin and Feathercoin and all this other bullshit.
Yeah,
and it just wasn't real, right? And then we tried the overlay protocols, and that didn't really work, like Colorcoins and Mastercoin and Counterparty. So then suddenly smart contracts came out, and it's a brand new narrative. It's a brand new thing. It's exciting and it's fired up, and then it just took the world by storm, and it fueled 10 years of crypto rise. But now smart contracts have reached the point of saturation. It's no longer a differentiating thing. And we're like, okay, what's the thing? So I think privacy is going to be the next big thing, private smart contracts. And that's why we bet big on Midnight. And, we'll see where that goes. It just opens up so many new things and possibilities that we never thought possible before.
Will the private smart contracts allow developers to be great again? And what I mean by that is, right now, last cycle, you needed a developer to just create a Solidity contract. Like you needed a developer to like do these things. Now you have launchpads, which it's automated now. So you don't need a dev. You don't need to pay a dev for $50,000, $100,000 to create any of this stuff. You don't need a security audit. Remember Certic? They raised $88 million. I don't hear about them anymore because you don't need them, right? Like you have all these things, right?
They still make money. They're still around.
I'm not saying they don't make money. I'm just saying, hey, like it used to be Charles. It was bullish. Oh my God, there's projects coming out. It's called dog shit, and like they had the greatest developers create it, and now it has a Certic audit too, and it's great. Whoever created it, they're already $350,000 in the hole by doing all these things. They had to hire a developer. They had to get a security audit. Now, nobody's doing any of that stuff. They're just flinging so like to create that kind of contract would you really bring back to me it's like when do we bring back the developers into the real developers, the coders into the
The
picture?
hyper autistic kid in the basement that
Yes.
lives in the fucking cage. They feed him fish heads. They're like, when do we bring back fishy? Yes. Yes, you can do that with zero knowledge, man. And we got some of those guys on the midnight side. They're special. You can do that because you could like handwrite the fucking circuits that provide the privacy. Yeah, if you are an elite developer, you can really showcase your EP-ness with Midnight. It's hard to do that with Solidity these days because everything's Mickey Moused and like nerfed and safe. But if you really want to do some crazy whack job shit, you can do some crazy whack job shit with Midnight. So look, it's not only going to be for those groups of people, but it's
Yeah.
also for the vibe coders and everybody else. And the point is that it gives you a complete new dimension to program in. So you went from Bitcoin and it was we're just moving money around. Then you went to Ethereum, it was like I have a programming language and I can do a bunch of stuff, but all the stuff that is real life requires privacy and I have to do that all off chain because I can't do that there. So now you have both sides. You have all the private side, the public side. But when you have that, you can create a completely new dimension of stuff. And I firmly believe that if Satoshi got a reset and he had to build something on a new platform, he would choose Midnight to build Bitcoin on because it would be perfectly aligned with the anonymity that he wanted to have and his values and vision about how a money system should work. Nobody wants to live in a panopticon. That's the other side of crypto. People are starting to get burnt out because there's a gap between the promises and the reality of crypto. And they're starting to realize that that gap is there. It's not getting filled by the incumbents. They're saying we're going to rebuild all the economic, political, and social systems of the world, and we're fuck the man, and we're going to rebuild society. And then on the Bitcoin side, they're all like BlackRock and MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy just spray it all over my face. This is what they're doing, right? And then on the Ethereum side, they're like, Vitalik. It's like there we go. They're ready to go with this. It's like okay, but guys, is that really I thought we were like it's like that meme where it shows the guys at the gym working out, and then the next one is they're all stupid. Guys, this is the problem with crypto in general, is that it didn't live up to the promises.
Yeah.
And people are looking for a new thing. So privacy is the last frontier. And I know that because Vitalik just wrote a blog post copying Midnight. So I know I'm in the right direction whenever they imitate or copy us. Selective disclosure, private smart contracts, figuring out how to build a full organization end to end on a blockchain where parts private, parts public, private payments, private dexes, private oracles, all kinds of things, and all the emergent properties of this stuff. That's the OG stuff. And Zcash is up like 400%. People are starting to realize it. They're starting to see it. So I think the next cycle's narrative is going to be on the privacy side. And that's where the OG developers can go and they can have a lot of fun. And the future Satoshis are going to go and build some super cool stuff with that. Also, you got to be like God mode in terms of intelligence to actually build these systems at scale. It is challenging for us. And we have 250 papers we've written and 168 scientists. And we have a whole bunch of gigabrains floating around, and every day I have to learn shit and study shit, and it's just so complicated, all these different things. Like, I was 1:00 in the morning on the toilet, like reading something on my phone about, Module SIS and this paper on claiming it could break it. Does it really have security or not?
Yeah.
And it's just like, God damn, this is some hardcore stuff. And that's only getting more complicated because all the other pet stuff, the privacy enhancing technology, is being pulled into the orbit of the zero knowledge space. So you have multi-party computation and fully homomorphic encryption and virtualized TEEs and oblivious RAM and garbled circuits, and there's a word salad of crap. And nobody really knows what the fuck they're doing. It's like your first time in sex, you're just feeling around, hoping not to fuck it up. That's what's going on right now in the privacy space. People just hoping not to fuck it up and not get sprayed. All right. So we're moving forward. And what's cool about it is it feels like it's the old days again. So that's why I love Midnight so much, because everything else is so damn commoditized and It's like, oh God. But you go to midnight, it's like it's genuinely a new thing. It's genuinely an exciting thing. The rules aren't written yet. The winners and losers haven't been chosen yet. The paradigms have not been set. And also groupthink is starting to work its way in. You got like 20 people building ZK EVMs. They're all using RISC-V. They're all using hash-based crypto. I think they're all wrong. I was like, guys, you're just wrong. Okay. It's not the approach. RISC-V is probably okay, but hash-based crypto is wrong. No, got to do lattices, yo. So I fucking go to all the lattice people and I created a project at Linux Foundation called Nightstream. And I said, let's just all come together and make lattices great again. Let's fucking go and do this, man. Why? Because I can convert lattices to tensor codes and networks, and they'll work on GPUs, and all the CUDA shit that NVIDIA built will work there. It works on your phone. You can make fast proofs with that. And also that cyclotomic stuff works in fully homomorphic encryption, which means the 20 years of FHE work that everybody's done can be pulled into crypto. You can't do shit with hash-based crypto. It's not even additively homomorphic. You can't add envelopes together. It's stupid. But that's the group thing because Vitalik said so. And so they're all in that space and they're spending huge amounts of money. And they're like, well, how will we make it fast? We'll build our own microchips. Why don't we just like make it work on graphics cards? Because there's like a $4 trillion company that like does that, right? And AI revolution and shit. And everybody's getting like AI coprocessors in their phone. And it turns out like tensor codes for AI could be reused for like making proofs. And doesn't that make more sense? You just got it wrong. Okay, but that's the thing, is like it's a reset. So we don't know. Maybe Vitalik's right again, or maybe he's wrong this cycle. Bill Gates was right throughout all the 90s. And he got everything wrong in the 2000s. And he had to retire and go like make toilets in Africa. So 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 you never know. You're like shit changes every cycle. So the new frontier for the GigaChad developer is privacy. You can be a badass in there. There's super hard problems. All the really smart people are kind of going into that. All the real hype is going into that, and it solves real problems. Medical records, salary, real world assets, all the whole securities on a blockchain thing, real estate on a block, intellectual property, just basic shit. You talk about creator economy. Do you want people to know that some people to see Dave Gockstein's perfect skin, which by the way, good job, is he 10% royalty, whereas other people are only paying 5%. If it's all on a blockchain, people can see who paid the minimum, right?
Yeah.
Well, you got to keep that shit private. You got to get a guarantee that nobody can verify that that one person paid 10% and the other person paid 5% for Dave Gockstein's radiant skin. And so private systems, they give you the ability to preserve that. And analogously, maybe Snoop Dogg doesn't want people to know his royalty structure for Death Row, because that's actually doing his business. And it has it's difference between millions to tens of millions of dollars of excess or lost revenue based upon the disclosure of those. That's a very, very delicate trade secret. He can't put the shit on a blockchain unless he has a mathematical guarantee that that's kept sensitive beyond a reason of a doubt. And so there's thousands of things like that that are in real world assets that just can't really enter Ethereum or the regular space. They need to exist somewhere else. And you need to do it in an intelligent way. So I think I figured it out with Midnight. I've been here for 15 years and I put a lot of effort into it. And, to show you I have no fucks to give, I just gave Midnight away for free. We did the Glacier drop and got like 160,000 people that have redeemed so far. It's going well. 8 different ecosystems, 7 blockchains. We told the VCs to go fuck themselves. We told all the big guys to go fuck themselves. It's retail, So we want to go back to old school principles and just bring all the little guys together and give them something like we did with Cardano, and hopefully it works well. And every day we just show up, we do the work, we put it in, and it's been an enormous amount of effort to, get it over the finish line. God damn, it's so hard. I meet every day and I yell at people in 4 different countries in 4 different languages, and those 1 a.m. toilet trips are getting too frequent. I think I'm gonna get hemorrhoids from it, but you know what? It will get done. And once it's out, it's out. And once it's out, it'll actually attract a great community. And I think it'll create its own culture of that new Giga Elite thing and create the 4th generation of cryptocurrencies. And then the good times will come back.
I'm really proud of myself that I can bring out the human side of people. I am really proud that people will disclose to you that they have hemorrhoids as they go and use the bathroom. I'm just really happy to be one of those media personalities that can really dig deep into whoa, no Diddy, no Baby Oil. Welcome to the breakdown, episode 599, sponsored by Gemini. All right, last question, because I know you're a busy man. And by the way, you just gave me something to think about. Privacy. Privacy is huge. So
Huge,
100%,
huge.
I think you knocked it out the ballpark with that one. Like privacy, huge.
And we think we have the model for it. There's a lot there, a lot we got to do. I'm working my ass off, but I really do think we have the model for it.
Government shutdown. Okay. Have you, okay, what's your take on it? And have you seen, like, okay, I know I'm a Republican, but I really do lean to the middle. Like, I will support a Democrat. I just want to make this very clear. I will support an old school Democrat that says, "Hey, let's work this out," kind of thing. Like, I have common sense. Let's work on this and let's bring this to the table for the American people. So, like, I'm not that. I can't say I'm MAGA, but I'm not crazy, right? Okay. I watched the CNN town hall shit yesterday. If this is who's representing the left, oh my God. That's all I can say is, oh my God.
I mean, the left is so bad. It's so bad. They're like, please put us back in power so we can have unrestricted migration, chop your kid's dick off, and make you afraid to go to work. And by the way, you know, your coworker is going to be a bald dude in a dress that's in charge of the nuclear stockpile, and you'll know his name because he steals your luggage. It's just like, what are we doing, dude? It's so out there. And suddenly everybody's like, yeah, the orange man, the orange reality TV show guy, he's making a lot more sense these days.
Like, I didn't like him, but there's common sense.
You're
I
right.
don't have to like him, but he's speaking common sense. Like, Charles, I voted for him because it's common sense.
It's your only option. You know, it's like you're on a spaceship and you have a deranged guy who's like, you have to worship me and you have to serve me. And then you have another group of people who are like, I want to like decompress the spaceship and open the door and suck you all into the vacuum of space. Like, who the fuck do I vote for? I don't understand. It's like, yes, of course I have to vote for the crazy guy, but at least he's not gonna kill me. Holy God, it's so bad. It's so bad. And it's for the government shutdown. It's like
How
having a
long do you
kid.
think it lasts? When do we reopen? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah,
Last one.
it's like having a kid, you know, and let's say your kid's a drug addict. So the first time little Johnny shows up with the heroin needle in his arm and he's drooling, you have to take him to the hospital. You call everybody and you're all serious. And you're like, oh, I can't believe little Johnny almost died of a heroin overdose. But when they do it like 47 times and they do it the 48th time, are you Johnny's back in the hospital. All right, whatever. Okay. Well, is he dead? No, he's not dead. He's okay. All right. Well, let me know if anything happens. Okay. They have shut down the fucking government so many times. They've played this horse and play. Nobody even remembers that the fucking government shut down. They're like, oh yeah, that's happening. That's a thing. The soldiers are not being paid, and they're all like, well, that's it. I'm just gonna sell guns. They're just we're numb. We're numb to the whole situation. And nobody really cares who's at fault. They're like the Democrats say it's the Republicans say it's the Democrats. You know, at this point, this whole thing could be over a $50,000 Dunkin' Donuts bill. I wouldn't be surprised. I honestly wouldn't be surprised. And I wouldn't be surprised they're fighting over it because it's so fucking petty. It's like that South Park episode where James Cameron is going in deep sea expedition to find the bar, and like Cartman is fighting on a fucking rascal Honey Boo Boo's daughter.
Yeah.
You know, and he finds the bar and raises the bar. This is literally where we're at as a society. It's so bad. It's just so bad. Because at the end of the day, David, the 101 thing which has failed is leadership.
Yeah.
Good leaders, they sit down and say, this is where we need to go. This is where the world is going. This is where we need to be. This is how we get there. Has Trump ever, or the Democrats for that matter, ever made a speech and said, this is the world of 2035?
No.
This is what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
These are the winners. These are the losers. Here's the plan for how we're going to get there for the next 10 years. love
I mean,
China.
I can be honest, like, Trump is running this like a dictatorship, like, the
Yeah,
100%. I could be honest about that,
yeah.
like, I if you hey, conservatives, I know you're gonna attack me, but, like, let's be honest, this is a dictatorship. Like, let's call it for what it is.
You know, and we the hypocrisy's gotta stop on the right. Guys, we're supposed to be better than this, goddammit. I am not a Democrat. I am not a left-wing person, okay? Don't ever think that. I've campaigned for Ron Paul back in '07. When Obama killed Anwar al-Awlaki without any due process, we on the right all complained about it and said it was wrong, and that's 100% true. When Trump goes and bombs a bunch of people, in Venezuela or other places, it's just as wrong. There's no authorization, there's no authority, there's no due process for this. We're not at war with this country. If you wanna be at war, fine, go to the House and make the case. It's a Republican-controlled Congress. And as for military youth authorization, they all have security clearances. They in 24 hours can make a fucking decision about a use of force authorization, but instead he just goes and does it. Says, "I have the right to do it, and anybody who does this doesn't, they're part of the problem." Look, dude, you are not a king. You don't have the right to arbitrarily just go and murder anybody you want, even if they're bad hombres. You gotta get some authorization to do these types of things. There has to be some checks and balances. Trump is addicted to getting rid of checks and balances. Everything he does in his power, he's like, "I have the authority to do this." Some he actually does,
Yeah.
and the Democrats are trying to stop everything, and they use these judges to slow it all down, but other things he absolutely doesn't have the authority to do, and it's to the detriment of the nation when he goes and he goes and pursues this type of stuff.
But, like, don't you think he has no other choice though? Like, when you sit back, the Democrats are just so no, no, no on everything that it's just like, "You know what? Fuck this. I
Yeah,
gotta
that's
do
why
it."
he's doing it, because they've made an art out of opposing Trump for the sake of opposing Trump.
Yeah.
There's no leadership on their side. There's no principles on their side. Honestly, what is their principle?
Nothing.
That only white people can be racist? That we should import 20 million people from countries and, outside of the places outside the United States just so they all vote left regardless of the
Mm.
consequences? That we should destroy every industry in the United States and have them all be government-sponsored companies? The institutions should be in charge of everything. Shut up, you don't have body autonomy, take your COVID vaccine, get in the corner, drink food coloring, take your high fructose corn syrup. I mean, it's just like there's no core principles for these guys other than institution good, little guy bad,
Yeah.
orange man, literally Hitler, as he goes to Israel to negotiate peace. I mean, it's so out there, their derangement is so strong that they can't understand that they're literally destroying any semblance of leadership. Again, a good leader, what he has to do or she has to do is tell people what the future is and how we're gonna win the future.
Yeah.
That's what China does, for better or for worse. You can hate them, you can love them, but the Politburo gets together every 5 years and they say, "This is the future." And they write it all down. You go to Amazon and buy the goddamn thing. They write it all down in a document and say, "This is our 5-year plan." They've done 14 of them. This is where the future is going to be. This is how it works. This is what's happening. Here's how we win. This is how we're going to conquer space. This is how synthetic biology. This is how we're going to conquer stem cells. This is how we're going to conquer infrastructure and these types of things. We don't do that, so it's hard for us to do anything big in America.
Yeah.
Chinese say we need to solve our power problem, so they went and built Three Gorges Dam. There's no path that America could build a dam like that. When China built it, they displaced 1.5 million people. They literally got flooded out of their homes. Could
Yeah.
you imagine a company doing that in America?
No.
The class action lawsuit would have its class action lawsuit, would have its class action lawsuit. Okay?
True.
It's not possible to do that. So they said, "Well, that's good. Okay, well, then how do we make power for all these data centers that everybody's building?" So you can't do coal. Nobody likes nuclear. Solar's not gonna get you there. Wind's not gonna get you there. So how do we get power for all these data centers? What's gonna end up happening is multi-trillion-dollar companies are gonna lobby the government. They're gonna get power first, and we're gonna have rolling blackouts now across all of America. We're just sleepwalking into this. Meanwhile, China, every fucking month, is building like 10, 15 power plants. You go to China, they went from nothing to high-speed rail across the whole fucking country, high-speed, high voltage lines that are very efficient across the whole fucking country. I am not a communist. I'm not pro-Chinese. What I do is I look at Singapore, I look at Abu Dhabi, I look at China, I look at Japan, I look at Korea, I look at Rwanda, I look at other nations that are doing things that are interesting, and I say, "What about that can we steal for our country?" Good leadership levels with the people and says, "This is where we're number one." and this is where we suck. And the national motto should be, we know we're working on it. That should be the national motto, okay? And you come up with a game plan. This is how we get there. And then if the Democrats want to go and fight it like petulant man children, you know what? They'll lose every election because they offer nothing in return.
I think they're going to lose the seats now because of this.
Yeah.
On CNN, and the reason why I watch CNN is to get like the gauge. You have to watch everything, right? When I watch CNN now, they are literally. By the way, I was shocked. I forgot. I think her name is Dana something.
Bash?
Yeah, she pinned Charles Schumer. She goes, "Why is there no way to reopen the government?" And he's same bullet points, blah blah blah. She goes, "Well, you did it 30 other times for Biden, so like, why can't you do it here?" And he's stuttering, like he doesn't know what to say.
Because they have no substance. There's no principle that backs what they say. There's no underlying philosophy that backs what they say. There's no derivation of a strategy that like, love me or hate me, with Cardano, I have a vision.
Yeah.
And my community voted on that vision. They accepted that vision. And now we got to go execute that vision.
Yeah.
Maybe Bitcoin DeFi is a big thing. Maybe Midnight's a big thing. Maybe it's not. You can agree or disagree, but there's something there. There are people hired, and they're judged not on how much they like me or dislike me, not on how much they get along with me and not get along with me. They're judged on whether they get it done.
Yeah.
That's that simple. So why the fuck can't our government do that? Why can't they just take a line in the sand and say, look, guys, let's be honest here. We're not doing the best job. This is what our competitors are doing. We're going to go and do this and get it done. And when your best people, the Jeff Bezoses and the Elon Musks and the dozens of others who are experts at getting shit done at scale for billions of people, are telling you that you have foundational problems,
Yeah.
you shouldn't demonize them. You should bring them together and have an adult conversation about, okay, how do we pivot and switch? And you know what, America, we are a sleeping giant. We went from, this World War II thing, we're going to sit it out, to a state of total war where we're making like 300,000 planes a year. I mean, it was insane. Our industrial capacity by 1944 was so vast. We made more tanks and planes in 1 year than Japan made in 20 years. To give you a sense of it. Okay, we just turned that engine on just like that, because that's America.
Yeah.
They sent to Leslie Grove. They said, hey, thanks for building the Pentagon in 6 months, the largest office building in the world in a swamp. Can you go and like run a secret military project in multiple states, employing 250,000 people, and make super secret nuclear weapons? Yeah, I can go do that. I'll just have to like build cities in the middle of fucking nowhere and keep it quiet. Like, yeah, all right, did it. Okay, that's America. That's where we came from. That's our legacy. So if we really want to turn this shit around, we could turn it around, but we have to have a why. We have to have a why for the how. People have to buy into it. And good leaders, they convince you of the why, and they convince you that the how will work. Then you go do that. That's your side of the contract. You cannot ask for a naked blind sacrifice. They tell me, Charles, you're not paying your fair share. And I'm like, dude, you're asking me to go give money to people in Haiti to chop off their kids' dicks. You're asking me to go pay for money to pay for the ammunition and the Iron Dome system in Israel so that they can shoot down rockets that Americans paid for that were smuggled from Ukraine down there. That's what you're asking me to spend my fucking tax dollars on. Okay? Stop it. Tell me to spend money on something for America. Tell me it's for DIA. We're going to rebuild DIA. Tell me it's to rebuild the harbors in California. Tell me it's to build high-speed rail from Denver to Laramie. Tell me it's to build fusion reactors or nuclear reactors. Tell me it's for next-generation aircraft that are hydrogen-powered. Tell me it's for a new power grid. Okay? Tell me something that's connected to progress and reality, okay? Then I'll be like, yeah, all right, I get it. I'm contributing to a common cause. I'm contributing to the future of the nation. I'm sacrificing for them. Instead, what you're doing is you're saying, give us more so we can never cut the budget. Efficiency is up 270% since the year 2000. And the federal government has doubled in size. Our population hasn't doubled. We haven't gone from 300 million to 600 million people. Okay? So how is it that when everybody's more productive, everybody's expected to be more productive, the federal government can double in size. They should be in half the size, given the
Correct.
efficiency gains in the software and these
Well,
types of things.
I mean,
And
this works
we
in
can't
Trump's
even have
favor,
this
right?
discussion.
The government
What's that?
shutdown works in his favor because now people are, what was it, 50% of the IRS
Yeah.
out, a lot of other departments out. I mean, like, the Democrats are shooting themselves in the foot on this one
Yeah.
because the Republicans are like, okay, fine. This is what we wanted anyway, remember?
Right. He's
We
gonna
wanted
cut
it.
the government.
We'll get rid of everybody this way.
Right, and that's why everybody's so tolerant of the insanity. Under ordinary circumstances, it's impossible to have a guy like Trump, but when your opposition party is so obviously captured by such a small group of extremely powerful and extremely toxic and hostile people, it's not possible not to have Trump. You need something like that as a counterbalance to the madness and the insanity of all of it, and he just does shit to torture him, like
Yeah.
Columbus Day. It's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna do Columbus Day again. Hey, a little Columbus Day. How about that? Yeah, a little bit of Columbus Day for you." And it just drives them nuts, and they go
They
red
couldn't
in the
even
face.
say the Democrats are so bad, and this hurts them. They couldn't even say thank you, President Trump, for the ceasefire in the Middle East. They
Well,
couldn't
there's 2
say it.
factions. There's 2 factions. One is like Biden actually did it, and it was a secret détente between Netanyahu and Trump
Yeah.
to, delay it until after he got elected. By the way, they did the same thing to Nixon. They said that there was a secret thing with Henry Kissinger, and he, like, prevented LBJ from getting credit. It's like, "Alright, yeah, well, your guy killed Kennedy, so fuck you." And then they try to do it with Trump. The other faction is like, "Oh, well, it's not actually real. It's not real peace, and it's not really gonna happen." They just can't give the guy a win,
They can't.
not
We need
possible.
honestly, I hope in the next 10 years we have a government, you know, my position on Trump, he has to do what he's doing because the Democrats just will not allow for him to actually see his plan through. And I do think he has a plan. Like you've been out there in DC. I think he's trying. Does he convey his messages or articulate them the way that you would want? Okay. We can go ahead and debate that all day long. But I really do think he wants to leave as one of the greatest presidents of all time, right? But the Democrats
He
don't want
legitimately wants the United States of America to be the most powerful country in the world. I believe that in every set of my bones.
it. Yeah.
You know, I think that a lot of people think that he actually wants America to fail or he's just making America all about himself. He actually does love the country, and but you gotta understand, he's 78 years old. He's a product of his generation. His view of America and his history of America is a different kind of America than the America of 2025. So he wants to bring back the America he grew up with. He wants to bring back an America where we were the good guys in all the movies. He wants to bring back an America where America wins all the wars. He wants to bring back an America where America, when it says it's going to do something, it does something. When we said we were going to build the Golden Gate Bridge, we built it. We built it a year earlier than it was supposed to be done and half the budget. Now, when San Francisco said we need to put suicide nets up for the Golden Gate Bridge, they take twice as long as it took to build the Golden Gate Bridge, and it costs more money than building the Golden Gate Bridge. Just suicide nets and the fucking bridge, okay?
Crazy.
That's the America of today, and the America that he grew up in and his father grew up in was the America of we say it, we do it. Kennedy says
Yeah.
we're gonna go to the moon, we go to the moon. We don't fucking care. Now, under the hood, a lot of crazy, messed up shit had to happen to make that happen. We had literally a Nazi running not NASA, okay? And they're like, "Hey, how do you guys know about all these tolerances on the pressure suits? Don't ask questions." I mean, that was NASA in the '60s. They just looked the other way, right? There's just a lot of like weird Operation Paperclip stuff. But that was all washed over, okay? And then the problem is that neither Trump is right nor the Democrats right. You have to acknowledge that bad things happened. You have to have the character and the humility to be able to figure out how to move forward while admitting that you've done something wrong. On the
Yeah.
other hand, you can't be like the Democrats in California saying, "Well, now is the time for reparations for a state that never had slavery for people who never had slaves to people who never were slaves." I was like, "You just can't do that." It's
Wild.
nuts. But that's their
Wild.
party, is that they just wanna live in one grievance to another grievance to another grievance to another grievance. You can never get anything done. Dude, if you I have a
Gavin
rant, by the way.
Newsom out there trolling Trump. By the way, it's the worst thing that he's doing, but it's getting attention because it's that bad. But here's a guy who has like destroyed California and says, you know what? Being that I destroyed California, I think I deserve to destroy the United States of America.
Because in his mind, they've done nothing but a perfect job because the model isn't about the people. The model is about the institutions. And the institutions of California are happy with Gavin. And his
Yeah.
reward is they let him run for president.
Yeah.
You got to understand that you can understand the Democrat machine when you understand they don't work for the people. They work for the institutions. They work
Yeah.
for big pharma, which is why you get your mandates for COVID. They work for the big academia, which is why student loan forgiveness comes in to make it sustainable to keep raising tuition 11% every year and never have a university go out of business. They work for the big banks, which is why they're anti-crypto. They work for military industrial complex, which is why they love these proxy wars to go on forever, like Ukraine and other things, because they can just spend money forever on weapon systems and never have the downside of the whole thing. They work for China, through Sinahawk and all these other things, which is why Chinese were allowed to infiltrate most of our institutions. And then they also work for the trial lawyers, which is why we have endless litigation and class actions, the over legalization of society. They work for big insurance, which is why they created the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, which mandated you have to buy insurance, for everybody in America. Every big institution, big tech, they work for big tech. 98% of the donations that come from the Mag 7 are basically for Democrats. If you look at the donations, they work for them, which is why big tech gets a total pass on all the stuff they do. And it's a public-private partnership, and big tech basically allows them to censor anybody they want. In exchange, big tech gets to operate and create a cartel and monopolies. Anything that threatens that, they go and stamp down. Oh, we got to get rid of hate speech. Wait a minute. What does that really mean? And you start digging into it. It's big tech.
They're everything that they say that they're not. That's what the Democratic Party has become. They're everything that they stated that they're not. That
There's
the
no better
Republicans
example of
are.
that than crypto. If you are truly a person on the left listening right now, and you drink that woke Kool-Aid about how every white person's systemically racist, and you read white fragility like the Bible, every night you pray to your woke gods, wouldn't it be the best thing in your life to have a money system that by its very construction doesn't care about the color of your skin, the language you speak, where you're born, if you're rich or poor? Every single person has equal access to that system.
Absolutely.
It's equity at its highest form, its most purest form, and no human being can come in and fuck it up. Bill Gates and Elon Musk and other people can't come in and force Ethereum or Bitcoin or Cardano to bias for their white friend over that black person living in Chicago. Okay?
Correct.
You made us drink from that systemically racist well for years and years and years and told me that I am implicitly racist against every person in the world, and white people can't experience racism. Excuse me for being a 4-year-old in Hawaii and having a beer can thrown at me for being white. And they said, how'll go home? Or living in Japan where they say no gaijin, and I couldn't eat at a restaurant because of my nationality. Excuse me for that. I can't experience that. It doesn't exist. Or when I was in South Africa and someone threatened to kill me when I was at a cigar bar because they really hated white people there in Johannesburg. I can't experience that. It's not a thing. It didn't happen. Okay, that's literally what these trash mongers are saying.
Yeah.
So we just gave you a money system where, guess what? It's truly equal. And your party bosses are telling you have to oppose it because Orange Man bad. What the fuck kind of goddamn philosophy do you actually believe? You're propagandized, man. Your mind is
Professors.
owned.
It's
Your soul is
professors in
owned.
mainstream media. It's professors in colleges and these universities that are just feeding these, honestly, these kids that are normal before they get into, these universities. They're feeding them this fucking, this fucking woke shit, bro. And
Yeah.
and this is what's happening. They're marching in the streets. They're like, I seen it on TV. Oh, I'm not proud to be white. What the fuck are you? What is happening
I
here,
know they
man?
just made a whole generation of people hate themselves and become neurotic as hell. And look at the mental health. My God, you should see how many of our patients under 20 are on antidepressants and anti-anxieties and have personality problems and all these things. It's an epidemic unlike anything I've ever seen in my life. In the
Yeah.
history of this country, it's unprecedented. And they've caused generations of people to be self-loathing and mental health to collapse because you can't live in a world where you're always the villain. You can't live in the world where you're born into a victim class. I mean, and both sides get screwed. If you're telling
Absolutely.
people who are minorities that the only way you can ever get ahead is by the state coming in and rewarding you for something, you've basically told them they're incapable of merit. And if you tell all the white people on the other side that you are evil, it's like original sin in Christianity. Just by your birth, you're part of a class of people that are evil, and their only existence is to victimize people. What does a kid think under
Yeah.
both sides of it? And this is the philosophy that these guys push, and they wonder why the Orange Man is in, because he just wants to return to Simple Land, where America number one, America is the hero, and all this other stuff. Now, he's not a deep person, so
Yeah.
he doesn't do nuance and realize that yes, we've done horrible things and bad
Yeah.
things have happened and all this. In World War II, we had prison camps for the Japanese and all that. We're not necessarily the best people. Okay, Americans have done horrible things.
But at some point, you have to move on. Like, you can't reminisce on what happened. Like, you can't fix that. Like, that's
Right,
it. It's done. Now,
right,
how do we move
right.
forward from
Exactly,
that?
and so if you want nuance, let's have nuance, but Jesus Christ, we can't have a philosophy that says these things because there's no road to redemption, and the reason they do it is they created an industry for it. Talk about institutions. The Democrat Party is all about industrialization of misery. They created the DEI movement, saying that you're systemically racist, and here are these high priests, the diversity, equity, inclusion high priests. They exist, and they're going to go parachute themselves into your organization. And your chief diversity officer, the CEO, doesn't even lead them. They report directly to the board, and they'll exist there to ensure equity and diversity and inclusion in your organization. Okay, and it's exactly the same with the Soviet Union with commissars. There's no difference there. What were the commissars doing? The political officers in the Soviet military and in Soviet society. They were there to make sure you're loyal to the government orthodoxy. So you have a DEI commissar in your organization, and they're making sure you're loyal to the DEI agenda. And if you're not loyal, you'll be terminated, deplatformed, retrained, reeducated. And other countries like Canada, they arrest you. The UK, they arrest you if you don't follow this thing. They criminalize it. There's first indoctrination, then there's institutionalization, then there's criminalization, and then there's gulagging. Those are the 4 steps when you take over with a totalitarian regressive philosophy. And during the institutionalization and during the criminalization phase, you have to deploy commissars to basically come out and enforce your mandate. And that's what they were doing at every part of the military, the federal government, the state government, the Fortune 500, and all of our media. If Netflix makes a series, I have a checklist now, okay? And it's never wrong. The white guy's the villain. The female character is the hero. The gay character is the wise person. The black person is either the hero or the ally to the female person. You could just go down the list and find one show on Netflix where this is not the case. They even take historical figures and just like a Viking warlord from the 11th century, and it's a black woman. It's like, what are we doing? This is so crazy, guys. And all historic representation doesn't matter because this is a historically disenfranchised thing and all this other. The guy on Family Guy does Cleveland's voice has to retire because he's not black, so he can't do a black person's voice. It's like you're just so out there with this stuff. You're so out there, and people are so tired of it. They're numb to it. They're so tired of being called a racist. They don't want these DEI commissars in. They're walking out. The problem is, man, that there's no philosophy on the other side that's fit for purpose. The old school stuff is old school. It's not built for the internet. It's not built for social media. It's not built for quantum computers and AI and 24/7 porn. It's not built for any of that stuff. It's built for like the olden days when Sally died of
Exactly.
tuberculosis. And we got to be worried because like our village could be invaded by people. Okay. It's Old Testament. It's built for a different culture. And so we don't have a compelling philosophy on the other side yet to go away from the woke stuff.
Yeah.
So what we have to do as a society is we have to build a new compromise philosophy, and we have to evolve, and we have to push through. And I'm convinced that there are building blocks to it. Blockchain is a component of it because it gives you objective reality and truth and fair money, and gets the government out of the business of telling the truth and fair money. But there's more to the story there. But I'm just angry and I'm tired, and more than anything else, I'm disappointed. There's no reason for people to hate each other the way they hate each other. There's no reason for people to act and behave the way that they act and behave. There's no reason for people to just take a tribe and inflict suffering on others. We live in a society now, Dave, where when you meet somebody at the bar, they ask you a game of 21 questions to figure out if you're in their group or not.
Correct. Correct.
That's every interaction is now this way. Are you in my group? Are you one of my trusted people? Or are you not one of my trusted people? And on the
100%.
right, it's done too. The right has
100%.
to admit that. It's done too. You guys are doing it too, okay?
Yeah.
And so when did that become society of saying my entire desire to like or dislike a person is directed by whether they're in my group? It's craziness.
I love this fucking conversation. I hope in the next, 2 weeks from now, we can go ahead and touch more on this because I think it's necessary. Big Unk, I see that me and Big Unk have gone at it multiple times about these very subjects, but being that we're past 28 minutes, I'll touch base on that on the next show, which is tomorrow. But 2 weeks from now, Charles, I'll hopefully you're back on here and we're shooting the shit about this because I think this is truly important.
Well,
This should be a 3 hour, 4 hour kind of thing.
Yeah, I'll talk about Bing Hunk right there. He says, but you never have an actual conversation about these things. You just spew your words and then you're like, this is the truth, but it's not the truth. You notice how he just says that without any supporting evidence in these things. Were there not DEI officers put into every Fortune 500, every government agency, the military? We had full bird colonels wearing fucking dog masks. We had people in dresses on battlefields. It was there, okay? And the entire mission of America changed from we want to do X, Y, and Z to DEI and woke crap. That happened. And Big Unk's inability to admit that and say it's more nuanced than that. No, it's not more nuanced than that. Where does your philosophy take you? I'm sorry, you can go to Google and look at the ADL when they tried and they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar, so they had to back off. But when they tried to change the definition of racism from an objective, neutral definition to saying it's white people against everybody else,
Yeah.
when you see that happened, and your inability to acknowledge that happened, your inability to acknowledge that these oversteps were taken, you can't even define what a woman is. You can't even define women and men's sports or men and women's sports, and you don't even think that's a problem. You can't get there. They're terrified to even have that conversation because it's fear. They're told this is the way it is. You will accept this. If you deviate from this, you will be punished. You'll be deplatformed. Your social life will be destroyed. Your economic certainty will be destroyed. And anyone who disagrees is on the out. I don't have all the answers, okay? I don't. I really don't. And I fully acknowledge that the old systems aren't working for us, which is why I'm a blockchain guy. But
Yeah.
I'm not naive enough or arrogant enough to basically sit here and tell you to your face that my way is the only way.
Right.
And you know what? The other side, that's what they do. And they've gotten addicted to the fact that no one holds them accountable in media and in institutions because they took over the institutions. They
Correct.
made a detente with them, a public-private partnership. They said, as long as you always back us, we will have corporatism for all of you. Okay? So you know what? You can put anything you want in the food. You can put anything you want in the supply chain. You can do whatever you want with the little guy. You can molest them. You can inject them with strange exotic drugs. You can give them all cancer. You know what? You can do that anything you want, but you got to back us on these things over here. And they said, you got it, boss. We're good there. That's what these guys did. And their inability, Bing Unk's inability to admit that and see the profound hypocrisy that's been pushed through. That is what is preventing a dialogue from happening. Because if you can say, yes, we are doing that, then we can have a conversation and say, all right, you tell me what you care about. You care about fairness. Then why is crypto bad? It's the only thing mankind's ever created that's truly fair. Everybody plays by the same set of rules, but your guys are actively trying to kill it. And they say, no, they're not doing that. Trump bad, and he's corrupt and all this stuff. I lived through it. They put CZ in jail. They tried to arrest Roger Ver and put him in jail for the rest of his life. They were totally comfortable with Ross Albert being in prison for the rest of his life. They sued every American exchange. They were going to sue every layer one. They tried to debank and deplatform all of us. I lost bank accounts. People got subpoenaed.
And it didn't matter what color you were or who you pray to, what religion. They were going after everybody.
Everybody. You know, it's just so crazy. And then you see this comment, there's no reason to hate as you spew ignorant anti-LGBTQ nonsense. What is anti? What is anti? Did I tell you you can't have sex with the people you want? You can't marry the people that you want? You can't live a free life? No, I didn't tell you that. I do have a problem when children are given puberty blockers. That's the line I draw. I do have a problem when
Yeah.
you brainwash people who are 5 or 6 or 7 years old. I do have that problem, and that's a nuance, and it's different than the gay, bisexual, lesbian thing. But you can't say that. You say it's all one big club. You know, and it's so inconsistent too.
Yeah.
I'm born this way. That's gay and L, the G and L. I can choose. That's the B. I can change any way I want. That's the T. Which is it? My God, it's not even an intellectually consistent belief structure. It's just a tribe of tribes of tribes that are all on the out, that they all came together. And then you say, you know what? We need to change society radically at every level to accommodate. And anyone who doesn't get along with this is evil at their core, and they want harm to be inflicted on people. I don't want harm to be inflicted on people. I don't care how you prosecute your life and live your life and the consensual decisions that adults make with each other. I've never cared, and I never will care. It's not my fucking business. I care when you radically change every dimension of society to say there's only one philosophy that matters, and then you create an army of DEI commissars to inflict that on everybody. That's when I care about this type of stuff. And people ask, where did Trump come from? He is a reaction. He's a creature crafted from years and years and years and years of this nonsense.
Yeah.
He's a witch's brew where they just put all the different things together and they summon the Trump. And they didn't understand it the first time, so they summoned him again. I mean, it's like you got a double dose of the big T. Okay, you got the 45 T, you got the 47 T, you got it again. And you just think everybody's stupid and racist and evil? And that's why you got a double dose of the big T? No, you got a double dose of the big T because you didn't get it the first time. And you doubled down on it and you went even crazier and more insane. And now you got even bigger T because he actually is competent this time around. He actually knows how to run the government. And that's even more terrifying for you because you shut the government down. He's got a guy to just fire everybody. He doesn't give a fuck. What is he going to get? Negative press? 99% of all press is negative, whether he saves Israel or not, whether he ends the Ukraine war or not, whether he could save cancer puppies. Okay. And he'd still get negative press for that shit. So he doesn't fear the negative press. And you put him in jail and you arrested him 34 times. You said no one is above the law again and again. We lost Dave now. So I'm just running the Gokhshtein show. See how angry I am, you know? Guys, I am not filled with hate. I'm not a racist. And I'm tired of people calling me that. I'm tired as a group that people do this. I'm an American and I love people and I want to build a better, more peaceful world. And I'm willing to listen and engage with people and fight for people and get things done. I really am. But we all have to take a step back and we have to realize that what's happening right now is causing everybody to go insane. And you have two choices. We can either just all kill each other and be in a big ass war, because that's where we're headed, is a division in society so significant where we see it with the Charlie Kirk assassination. We see it with the political violence up in Minnesota. You see it. Or we can come back together and reset the entire relationship. We have to return to objective truth. We have to return to objective reality. We got to get there. And if we don't do it, it's just not going to work. Life is going to fall apart. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say about it. Took over the Gokhshtein show. Even Dave couldn't stick with it. This is where we're at. And I love all of you guys. Cheers.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Charles. Okay? That was Charles from Cardano. You like that one, right? You like that one. Okay. Next week, actually not next week, in 2 weeks, Charles will be back on. Yeah, Charles took over, man. Man, okay. What a show. What a show. The Breakdown, episode 599, sponsored by Gemini, powered by GNN. Tonight you have, obviously, the nightly recap. You got Hotep. You got everything right there on the bottom. You know how it's going down. Look, you don't have to agree with everything said, but it is what it is. One thing that the blockchain is, blockchain don't care what color you are. That shit don't see anything. That shit does not see a goddamn thing. Okay? And when the Democrats were in power, they were trying to kill this motherfucking industry off. So you can go ahead. You want to go ahead and wear your shit proud out there, talking about your affiliations. No problem, but the truth is there. The truth is that Democrats wanted to destroy crypto 100%. Destroy it in the sense that they did not want you, retail, who is currently watching, they did not want retail to hold anything of value because it doesn't benefit them and their friends. They want you working for them. Okay? They don't want you using your money to make money on your money. They don't want you buying land. They don't want to see you. They want you to do good, but not good enough. That is what their whole mission has always been. For the last 2 decades, that has been their mission. That has been their goal. Their goal is to go ahead, make sure that you are good enough, but not good. Okay? That you can survive, but not do better. Okay? That you will continue to work for the man and the man only. That you don't open up your own small businesses and all that good stuff. Again, buying land. Who has taught you? Schools, they have never taught you about. You've went to school. Most of you guys have gone to school at least up to the 3rd grade. They never taught you about finances or how to handle them. No, that's not beneficial for them. Have you seen the town hall meetings? Yesterday, I watched the town hall meeting with AOC and Bernie Sanders. It was a complete clusterfuck. They have no plan. They have no mission. They don't even know why the government is locked down right now. They don't even know what they're fighting for. Okay? And they don't know who the leader is for the Democratic Party. They don't know who the leader is. Whether it's Chuck Schumer, whether it's Hakeem Jefferson, AOC, Bernie Sanders. Like, they don't know who's who. They don't know who's leading what. They don't. And then you guys have the audacity. I can't believe, by the way, New York City, I don't know what you are drinking. I don't know what has happened. But Mel Donnie, you're going to vote in a goddamn socialist who wants to make everything free. Free does not work. Okay? Free does not work. Ladies and gentlemen, from somebody who has European blood, yes, you're looking at him. I have some European blood in me. For people who have lived in Eastern Europe under communist regimes, communism does not work. Free does not work. Okay? It does not work. Free apparently he stated that free bus rides will stop assaults. Free does not work. These things have to be paid for. And apparently, as he stated, these things will be paid for by white people in white neighborhoods. Paraphrasing there. What are you voting on? What is happening? What is happening? New York City, what is happening? What are you doing? Shit, I don't like Andrew Cuomo like that, but Andrew Cuomo better than this guy. What is going on with you? Anyway, thank you for tuning in to The Breakdown, episode 599, sponsored by Gemini, powered by GNN. I'll be back tomorrow. You never know who will show up. But we'll be back tomorrow. Shout out to Landy. Hi, Landy. Wherever you're hiding, Landy. Shout out to Big Unk and everybody else who's tuned in. Listen, with crypto, we'll be good. And by the way, let me go. We'll be right back after this commercial break, but let me do the quote of the day.
Thought you knew I'm on the move and nowhere to be found. Thought you knew I'm on the move and nowhere nowhere to be found.
All right, that was that Gemini, the Bitcoin credit card, ladies and gentlemen. And here's the quote of the day. Are you ready? Here we go. What a privilege to be tired from work you prayed for. The exhaustion you're feeling now is proof that you're standing in answered prayers. There was a time when you begged for opportunities, prayed for progress, and dreamed of this exact moment. Now you're living it, grinding through it, becoming the person you once envisioned. That kind of fatigue is scarce because it means you're doing something that matters. Thank you very much for all your support, ladies and gentlemen. The brand is coming back bigger, and that's all I gotta say. The brand is coming back bigger. I appreciate all the DMs. I appreciate everybody who continues to follow me after all these years. We'll take this shit to the next level. A lot of shit in the works. I'm very, very excited. I'm very, very excited to go ahead and do some cool stuff. So shout out to the people tuning in on YouTube, LinkedIn. I see the numbers now increasing. Thank you so much on that side of the fence for tuning into this wild boy here. We got more guests coming on. The podcast is going to be something special. We're going to cook on there. Right now, Hotep Jesus is live. You can go ahead and tune into Kick and go ahead and check out Hotep Jesus. He's live. And that always starts at 2 p.m. Monday through Fridays. All right, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.